Today I present a world where there is a power called Blade of the World. And that power is the manifestation of the soul of a human being in the form of a weapon. So we will see a school that teaches combat techniques, and to that school will attend our protagonist, which also has this power, but it came out somewhat defective. You'll see why. That's why today I present you. If you are new, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, since there is a large percentage of people who watch the videos, but are not subscribed. So subscribe, it's free. The story begins with our protator, and today is his first day at the Koryo Academy, which is a free residential academy founded by the Dawn Agency, which offers 3 free meals a day, plus maintenance costs. So it's a dream academy. But meanwhile in Latam, in his first day the protagonist meets Imari, who began to talk to him asking if he was a new student, and asked him to go together. While walking, Imari tells him that she is the only one who came here from her school, and that discourages her a bit, but Thor tells her that he also came alone. After getting to know each other a bit, they went to the school and informs them that now they will perform the traditional capacity ceremony. The principal welcomes the new students to the school and informs them that now they will perform the traditional capacity ceremony. So first they ask them to look at their partner, who will be the person sitting next to them. And for life or script reasons, Imari will be Thor's partner. And once they know who will be their partner, they are informed that they have to duel with him. But the thing does not stay there, since only the winner can enter the academy, and the losers will be extracted the useful and they will leave. And you will ask yourself, what is the useful, my little Padawan? Shush, quiet, I'll talk to you about it later. When listening to this, the students are worried, since no one warned them of this in advance, and some said that they cannot fight and duel with their companions. So the director puts pressure and says that if in 10 minutes there is no winner, both will be disqualified, and Maria, when she hears this, asks if it is not excessive that the one who loses cannot enter the academy, to which the director responds that this can be considered the entrance exam to the academy, since it is a battle for existence based on the simple rule of surviving by defeating others. For his part, Thor asks if they can change partners. But this is not possible, since the director wants them to understand that the person next to them is their first enemy, so to speak, and since the director gave this information, he tells them that the exam starts, so these students are the first to fight, and as they gave the initiative, the others started to take out their weapons, so there everyone was fighting. And Mary also took out his blaze, and told Thor to take out his, and get ready to fight. Imari says he has something to do and that's why he came to this academy, and as Thor did nothing, Imari attacks Thor. But he dodged his attack. However, Imari tried again several times. But in all the attacks that he threw, Thor dodged them easily, so in one of those that Thor holds Imari's hand and asks him to give up. But, at that moment a weapon flew towards Imari. However, Thor saved her, activating her blaze. And when Thor activated her blaze, he surprised everyone, since her blaze has a shield shape, which is abnormal for everyone, since the blaze, which is the power of the soul, should create a weapon, not a shield. And Mary is grateful to Thor for saving her, but she cannot give up, since he says he has his reasons, so she attacks Thor again, but he blocks her with his shield and sends her weapon flying, so she is disarmed, so the protagonist takes advantage to give her the final blow. And with this victory the time is over, so all the winners will be admitted to the academy, and the last words of his director are that she prays that one day they will reach the absolute duo. Thor was walking back and forth and he meets a man named Thora, who tells him that he didn't expect to meet him in a place like this, and he also says that now they have become the Indian bunnies of Sakuya Teskumo, and here he says that in the end they got the power of blaze, after they were administered by Luzful. Once in the hall this girl is watching him, so Thor tries to talk to her, but when he tries to do it, the girl turns around. However, when Thor does not see her, she sees him again. At that moment Yuza Sensei enters the room, but as he entered jumping with a suit of Maisie bunny ears, the students did not know how to react, but since the sensei introduced himself, he asks the students to introduce themselves. So let's see the presentation of several, since among them we have Tomo Tachibana, Miyabi Hataka, Ui Torazaki, or better known by the neighborhood as Tora. And when Tora introduces himself, the sensei recognizes him as the anomalous, since everyone in the classroom is talking about Thor. The next to introduce herself is the girl who is next to Thor, which is called Julie Sigtuna. Sensei explains that here they will use the special duo system, which consists of students forming couples and living together. And they use this system because when they graduate, they will access the Public Order Maintenance Unit of the Dawn Agency, where they work mainly in pairs, so they do this so that the students get used to the way of working in the unit. That's why the duos go together, share classes together, and also the room, but the official duos are going to decide this weekend, so in the meantime, they are going to form temporal duos. So when he heard this, he was going to ask Thor to form a duo with him, but the sensei says that the temporal duos are already decided, since like in the opening ceremony, his partner will be the person they have sitting next to him. Thor, when he heard this, he denied, but he will not have another. Even Thor stayed a while in Thor's room, but Thor threw him out of his room, telling him that if he is a man that he should be proud of and go. Thor entered the room nervous, but when he arrived he did not see anyone, so he thinks that she surely did not want to live with a man. However, at that time, Julie appeared. The protag wanted to introduce himself again with Julie, but she remembers his name, since she tells him that he comes from a town where there is a similar name, so it was easy to remember him. And the town where Yuli comes from is in the north of Europe, so Yuli tells him that in the Nordic mythology, Thor is the god of thunder, and the most powerful of all, so he tells him that he has a good name, and since they are, Thor asks him why in class he did not stop looking at him, just as he is doing now. Yuli answers that it is because it intrigues him, since it turns out that Yuli saw Thor use a technique in the ceremony of capacity, which caught his attention, so he asks him to teach him how to use this technique, but Thor apologizes, since this technique has a great load on the body. So Thor says that if he used it, a girl would destroy her. However, Julie understands the point, so nothing happens, and as she was very tired due to the time difference, she fell asleep. Thor, when he woke up, was surprised to see if he had been wrong about bed or something like that, since the protagonist was in his bed. And Julie on his side gives him the good days as if nothing. Julie and Thor are going to be the duo that draws attention, since when they go to the dining room, many students did not stop seeing them and talking about them. Julie and the protagonist were eating, and in that, this duo, Tomo and Miyabi, approach, asking if they can sit with them, and since they don't mind, they end up accepting. Tomo can talk normally with Thor, but Miyabi is not very used to boys, so she is in a shy mode, and Tomo will enter in a sincere mode, since Tomo says that she wanted to talk to them, because she is worried about them, since as much as the rules allow it, that a boy and a girl of the same age live in the same room, he asked questions and there would be no problems. But Julie answers that there is no problem and that Thor at night took it with great kindness, and Julie wanted to refer to Thor was kind, but to say it that way caused a misunderstanding. The teacher giving classes talks about Lucifol, since it is said that only one person out of 1,000 is suitable for Lucifol, so those who are injected with this substance, as they are physically reinforced, they also strengthen in mind and soul. So the chosen ones that are compatible with the Lucifol are able to use the blaze, which take the form of simple weapons, such as swords or spears. But the sensei says that there are also rare cases, mentioning the protagonist. And when Thor realized that the whole class was watching him, especially Tomo, who looked at him very upset by the confusion of this morning, Julie realized this and asks if something is happening with Tomo, to which Thor mentions what happened this morning at the dining room, and says that he is not surprised that he has been confused, since he explained that here in Japan, drinking means basically the delicious. As Julie comes from Europe, she obviously did not know this, so she says that she will fix things, explaining that she had confused. Continuing with the theme of Lucifol, this one has a level, and can be leveled up in the sublimation ceremony, which they do at the end of each semester, and if at the end of the year they do not manage to raise a single level, they will be expelled. Once the misunderstanding was explained, Tomo went to apologize to Thor, but as she was asking for forgiveness on her knees, was only causing a misunderstanding with the others. When training started, Yuli and Tomo were in devil mode, so Tora is surprised by Tomo, as he says that he does not do anything wrong, but here his friend Tora is going to throw a date, as he says that the Tachibana style is a school that teaches martial arts whose basis are the ancient martial arts. However, to the guy with glasses is more interested in Julie, who is facing Tomo as well, so he wonders what kind of person is Thor's roommate, to which Thor replies that he hasn't really asked him, since they will only be roommates for a week, and Thor tells him that he thought of joining him as his official duo. Since Thor says that a mixed duo would be weird, but as my dear Nelson Thor would say, I think you're a little bitch, I'm afraid you're a bitch, the last day has arrived, since tomorrow they will have to choose the official duos, so Thor told Thor to count on him to form a team tomorrow. Talking to Julie, Thor asks who he will ask to be his official duo, to which she replies that she thought to ask Tomo. The next day, the students are already starting to register as official duos, and the registration deadline ends today, at 6 p.m., And since they just started registering and it's very full, Thor and Thora think they'll leave it for later. Since there's time at that moment, Thor saw Yuli talking to Tomo. So he thinks that she probably already asked Tomo to form a team, but later when Thor was about to register with Thora, he met Tomo and Miyabi. And here he found out that they too come to register. So Thor asks what happened to Yuli. Tomo answers that it is true that Yuli proposed that they be a team. But as Tomo had already decided before that he would team with Miyabi, he had no choice but to reject Yuli. When he heard this, Thor realizes that Yuli is alone. And to finish them off, they were rushing, saying that they have to make the oath of the duo. However, Thor apologizes to his friend, but his high-ranked friend understands him. Since he knows that Thor is going to look for Yuli, so he tells him to hurry up, and there was only an hour left to register, but Thor can find Yuli in the clock tower, so he proposes to Yuli that they be an official duo. So she ends up accepting. So at that moment they make the oath in which they promise that all who join this bond will always be together at all times as long as possible. In happy moments are the sad ones. In health and until death separates them, once the duos are fixed without problems. The sensei says that there is little left for the combat of practices in which they can use the blaze. And this is called the fight of the new weapons, so the sensei says that except for themselves, all the others are the enemy. And there where you see the sensei, it seems that he did nothing, but when you do not see it, that a naughty smile is thrown. This will be important for later. You will see why Thor and Julie were practicing lever lock, but Julie wins him again. So with this, Thor has 4 defeats in a row. So Julie says she worries about the slow movements, but Thor says it's because he's not used to wielding the shield yet. However, since the new weapons fight is next Saturday, they have to think of a solution, since Thor thinks he can't leave things like this. And Julie tells him that she has a suggestion on how to use the shield, since she tells him to receive the enemy's attack, enter his territory, and finally hit with his right fist. Thor thinks this is a good suggestion, but since the attack of his right hand is not ablaze, if Thor attacks someone he could get badly hurt. That's why Thor didn't like to use this attack too much. However, the attack also serves to give practical use to the shield, so they will join it in their training. Sometime later, Thor met with Miyabi, who was trying too hard, so she ended up fainting. So Thor decided to take her to the infirmary. While they were on their way to the infirmary, Miyabi woke up and Thor tells her that it's okay for her to make an effort, but that she should do it without exaggerating. But Miyabi has her reasons to train until she can't anymore, and she says that she has to make an effort because if not, it will be a nuisance for Tomo. And Miyabi thinks that she was never special because she wasn't good at sports or at school. That's why she was very happy when they told her that she was compatible with the useful, since it is a talent that only has 1 person of each 1,000. But despite that, she says that there are many fantastic people, but that she has nothing. That's why she ran until she fainted, since it was the only thing that occurred to her. Thor tells her that if the most important thing is to gain resistance, of course the best thing is to run, since he says that basically it is to accumulate, and that it has nothing to do with having talent, and that if one keeps running, he will end up being stronger. But obviously he tells him to do it without doing crazy things. The protagonist was sleeping, but he had memories of Vietnam, so he got up scared. The next day, the fight of the new weapons begins, and the stage will be the whole area north of the academy. So Julie's plan is to advance straight and defeat those who are. In their first fight, Thor and Julie win as if nothing. Then they had a second and a third victory, and so they were winning. And as there is only 1 hour left for the event to end, it is increasingly difficult for them to find more duos, since many duos have already been eliminated. But at that moment they meet Tomo and Miyabi, so Thor will stop Miyabi. While Julie goes for Tomo on his side, Thor could stop Miyabi, since she could not anymore, and despite losing, Thor tells her that he made a good attack, so this made Miyabi happy. On the other hand, Yui and Tomo were having a great battle, but it won't last long since Yui does the hakemate. The event is about to end, but with the time they have, it still gives them for one more confrontation, something that the Prod expressa that if he could, would like to measure with Tora. But at that moment, they heard screams. So they went to see what was happening, but when they got to the place they found Tora and her partner on the floor, so they wondered what happened here, and in that the sensei also arrived asking the same, but Thor answers that they also just arrived. However, they did not expect to be attacked by their own sensei. He knew that naughty smile was for something. Thor asks her why she is doing this, to which the sensei confesses that because she was the one who attacked Thor and his partner. And here Thor will also find out about another date, since he thought he was fine, and that it is assumed that the blaze cannot hurt. But Thor discovered that when the sensei attacked him, he took a wound, so he wonders how this is possible. The sensei replies that the blaze is a manifestation of the soul, and that it can change a lot depending on the heart of each one. So basically, if one uses the blaze with the intention of killing, it can hurt others. Having said this, the sensei says that he will show them what happens if you break someone's blaze. So here he breaks the blaze of Tora, So Tora begins to feel a lot of pain, causing him a lot of damage, and this will make him sleep a whole day since when destroying the blaze, it's like destroying his soul temporarily. Thor asks why he does something like that, to which she answers that it's her job, so the sensei starts attacking in devil mode. She was about to finish Thor, but Yuli defended him as she could. The problem is that now the one who is exposed is Yuli. However, when the sensei attacked, Thor appeared to block her, but the sensei has a lot of strength and tells her that the weak deserve to die due to these words. Thor remembered Vietnam, so he gets angry and attacks with his right hand, but the sensei could dodge it. Although he recognized the strength of the attack, since he tells her that if he had hit her, she would have had a bad time. The fight continued, but the sensei was still superior, so Yuli says they need to hit her with a single blow. When the sensei found them, Yuli tried to defend Thor, but when the sensei attacked, Thor quickly came out to block her, saying that he would protect Yuli. So Thor received the attacks of his sensei. Everything went well for Thor and Yuli, and thanks to them, they managed to rescue Thor and capture his teacher. But Thor wonders what the sensei meant when he talked about his work. And one thing I did not tell you, but when Thor nightmares came to him and he woke up scared, Julie had heard it, and as Thor spoke while he was sleeping, Julie asked him who is Otoha, and here in his dreams the protagonist said, Otoha why? Answer, I will not forgive you, I swear I will kill you. However, Thor tells him to forget it, but Julie asks Thor if that is his objective, a scar that she has on her back, and tells Thor that she is like him, Avenger. The next morning Thor thought that what he told Julie had been a dream, but he remembered that it really happened, and at that moment, he also realized that Julie was sleeping next to him. Again, when they arrived at the living room, Thor saw Thora. So surprised he asks him what he is doing here, since he was supposed to have to rest, but Thora tells him that despite his wounds, he could not stand being in bed anymore. However, Tomo tells him that the wounds that woman made were serious. Tomo also found out about the joke, but this was because Tomo and Miyabi were worried to see that Thor and Julie did not appear. So they went back to the place, and when they found them, they gave them first aid. And they wondered why the sensei would act so violently. However, Thor believes that they will not see her again, but just at that moment the sensei appeared. When she saw her sensei, Thor asks her what is she doing here. To which she replies that the director of the academy released her, and talking to the director she says that Rito has been reformed and that he has been hired back as a teacher. However, Thor complains, arguing that the teacher tried to kill them, but the director tells them that they are still alive despite facing a rival as powerful as the teacher, and says that she values teachers with the ability to teach in such a way to students, since in the end those are the results that the director was looking for, since her director has no problem with what the methods or the process are. Since she says that everything is in order to achieve the absolute duo, she also informs them that in a few days they will celebrate the sublimation ceremony of the 6 at level 2, since this is the privilege for those who manage to be the best results in the fight of the new weapons. While they were receiving classes, this blonde came out of nowhere and approached Thor, asking if he is the anomalous of which they talk so much. This girl introduces herself as Lilith and asks Thor to follow her, since she wants to talk to him, but Thor replies that they are in class. However, Lilith got the permission of the sensei to take Thor, so Thor had no choice but to follow her. Once they went to another place to talk, Lily tells Thor that from now on she will be his duo, but Thor tells her that she already has a duo, and that Lilith already knows, but says that she does not care, since Lilith says that after all, she is special, an exception, since when she was in Great Britain, she heard the rumor of the anomalous, so she transferred here expressly to be a team with Thor, since Lilith tells her that she is the same as her. So for Lilith, Thor is the only person worthy of being her duo, but the Proto tells her that to begin with, the rules of the academy do not allow to break the duos, but Lilith replies that those rules do not apply to her, and that she is allowed to act as she wishes, and that is to be an exception. However, Thor replies that he does not plan to join her and neither undo his duo, so after saying that, Thor leaves. Thor was drinking tea with Julie and locks the lever, and in that Julie asks him if today you can sleep with him, and as soon as he wanted to divert the question, he tells Julie that how about if they go somewhere the next day free, since they have never left the academy, and Thor says that from time to time it is good to change airs. To which Julie accepts and tells her that she wants to go shopping since she only brought winter clothes, but despite that Thor didn't make Julie forget the idea of sleeping with him, since she was already waiting for him the next day. The protagonist accompanied Julie to go shopping, and then they went to eat Italian ice cream that Miyabi had recommended to Thor, and for some reason Julie ended up getting drunk with the ice cream. Tomo and Miyabi were spying on them and seeing what's going on. Tomo asks Miyabi if she's sure that those two are not dating, to which Miyabi said no, since Tor had also invited Miyabi to go with them, so for that reason she doesn't think they're dating, but even so, they will continue to watch a little more for doubts. However, at that moment they are surrounded by this group of boys who propose that they go with them, but Tomo rejects them, so they were about to leave. But in that, one of the guys holds Miyabi's hand. But Tomo's touch was defensive, and at that moment Thor also appeared and tells these guys that the two girls are coming with him. But at that moment Lily also appeared and began to attack with her blaze to these subjects, so after killing the four, she left, and this really surprised Thor, since he realized that Lily's blaze is a rifle, so he knows that this is really an exception. Thor tells the girls that he saw a blaze rifle, to which Tomo asks if he was not mistaken, but the protagonist says that he is sure of what he saw, as he perfectly remembers how Lilith was in American mode and did PIU. However, Julie argues that they told them that a weapon could not be manifested with a complex structure, but Thor says that may be the reason why it is called special exception, and Thor realizes that today Lilith missed classes. But meanwhile Lilith, who was watching photos of the protagonist while cleaning a rifle. Now let's go to the pool, where Tomo and the others are showing their powers. Oh, why didn't I tell you? But due to the result of the sublimation ceremony, both Thor, Yuli, Tomo, Miyabi, Tora and Tora's partner, they went up to level 2. So they injected something in their neck. However, the protagonist did not feel like he had leveled up, but here you will discover it, since when Tora throws a ball, she does it with a lot of power, and for her part her partner also deflected the ball with a lot of power. So Thor, when he precise this, he thinks that of course it seems that they are at another level in a matter of strength and speed, and that they only went up to level 2, but let's remember that she had already told the sensei that a single level can make the difference. Even Miyabi had improved a lot, but she had not realized until Thor made him notice, since she made a lot of effort in the race, but Thor tells her that it was the best, and when she returns to see, she realizes that she came first. Due to this, Miyabi gets very happy and thanks the protagonist, and tells him that all this has been for the spirits that he has given him, but Thor says that he has not done anything, and that it has been her who has made an effort. However, she insists that this is not true, and wanted to say something to Thor, but at that moment, she took and arrived, saying that Thor is right, since he tells her that sublimation is impossible if you do not have mind and body at the level. Now it's time for Julie to show her improvement, so she throws herself to swim, because where she comes from she did not have swimming classes. However, she thought that if she invited the others she could get out. Thor was walking backwards along with Julie, and she tells him that next time he has to teach her to swim, to which the Protoss mentions that there are also classes on the beach, but in that the Protoss tells Julie to continue without him, since he had seen Lily, so he went to meet her and asks her what she is doing, to which she replies that it is what she sees and that she is enjoying the afternoon tea, but Thor does not mean that, since he tells her that he never goes to class. So he asks her if she is sure to do well. But Lilith says that a while ago she surpassed the level of school studies, and that this academy is nothing more than a hobby for her, and all this because Lilith has incredible results, but Thor says that he won't do that. My friends, Thor also says that he wanted to ask her something, but when Thor was going to ask the question, Lilith tells him that if he wants her to answer the question he will have to accompany her the rest of the day, so at that moment a helicopter appears, and meanwhile the sensei was very angry because Thor missed his class. Meanwhile, Thor was taken by Lilith to an amusement park, so she was very excited, since she wanted to visit this park since she decided to come to Japan. So they go to the roller coaster, hug this rabbit, take some pictures, and even eat an ice cream. But the Protoss seemed exhausted, so Lilith tells him that he has little resistance to make an exit, but Thor says that mental exhaustion counts more than physical. However, there is a new activity to do, because in that Lilith can see this sign that says monster shooting, and as it is about shots and she likes those things, it is very good. So they were doing Pyam and hitting the monsters. Thor, when he sees how Lily has good aim, is surprised, but she tells him that it is normal since she has always liked the house since she was little, so she has disassembled and reassembled weapons many times, since she thinks that you have to know everything about a weapon that can give life to an octa, since for her a rifle is the weapon she is most used to, or what is the same as like his own soul. And here Lilith asks Thor if it is not the same with his blaze, to which Thor, when he heard this, he had memories of Vietnam. After a fun day, they saw fireworks and everything, so Lilith here reminds Thor that she had told him that she wanted to ask him something, so Thor asks her why yesterday she used the blaze in front of everyone, to which she replies that it is the most normal thing to show the blaze to his duo, and tells him that when he knew that there was another user of blaze unique like her, he felt excited, since she was no longer unique in the world, so he says that he felt that only he, the anomalous, could be his duo, since he tells her that she can knock down the enemies with her rifle, and he could stop the swords with his shield. So Lilith officially repeats him and proposes to be his duo. To which the protagonist gives an answer that at first they do not let us hear. But we will know right away, since when he returned, Thor had come back very late. So the doors were already closed and everything. But luckily Julie was waiting for him. Thor confesses to Julie that he has been with Lilith and tells her that she invited him to be her duo, but also tells her that he rejected her, since Thor replied that he has a duo that means a lot to him, and that he swore that he would help her and that he would help himself. For the second time, and says that he will never forgive him. That's why Thor thinks that now Lilith really hates him. Here he also tells her that the truth is that she had already invited him to be her duo, so he apologizes for having kept quiet about something so important. However, Julius tells her that he had to think about it, and thanks her for choosing her. But the protagonist also thanks him, since in the end they are a duo for his part. Miyabi was stuck in the window, since he was wondering if Thor would have returned or not the next day. The Proto was punished with the sensei for having missed classes, so they made him run. Once in class, the sensei tells them that very soon they will have a confrontation with those of the second year, and that is called extermination. However, this time it will not be a duel, but a course, so the fight will be all first class against a selection of second class members. So the teacher took her class to observe the second class. And the teacher tells them that since they don't prepare a good plan, they're going to be chopped. But, at that moment, Lilith appears in the battlefield. She tells the second-ranked ones if they want to carry out the extermination right now, since Lilith challenges them to face her as a representative of the first rank. However, at first they were not taking Lilith seriously. But in that, she took out her blaze and that Lilith easily knocked down one of the students, so she asks who wants to be the next one to be married, so their Lilith continued in plan Payam. And she only ends up defeating the second students however. This for the principal was a disgust, since she tells Lilith that no matter how much of a disappointment she has made the extermination, that the principal had prepared so much to lose, but Lilith says that do not worry, and that in return he would like to celebrate a party with dance with which to strengthen the bonds with their companions. So Lilith says that she will be the host of all and that the clothes will be the blaze and the music that sounds will be the clash of the weapons. So basically Lilith is proposing to go alone against all the first ones. And she says that the title of the dance was the fight for survival. The first ones are hidden since Lilith is hunting them, and in that this girl attacks Lilith with an arrow, but Lilith stops the arrow with her hand and knocks down the girl, so as the surprise attack did not work, those who were hidden go out to attack her, but this for Lilith is easy, so she defeats them all. And in that Lilith crosses with Thor and tells him that it is time to dance. She also tells him that she did not think they would meet so soon, but that she is happy. So she already wanted to start fighting, but the Proto before that apologizes for having refused to be his duo, since he tells him that at the time he could not apologize as he should, but Lilith asks him why that is, and asks him if he thinks that she will have any consideration with him, just because he got mad. But Thor tells her that he did this because he wants to fight her with all his strength, since the protag thinks that if both go for all, they will get to understand each other when the fight ends. So at that moment they start fighting, and Thor, while fighting, wanted to check the shooting distance from the mouth of the rifle, so that's why he made himself comfortable and talked to Lilith, and here Thor tells her that the fun starts now because at that moment Tomo attacks Lilith, but she deflected her attack quickly. However, this guy also comes out to attack Lilith, but she obviously could also dodge this attack, so now it's Yuli's turn, since they basically combine a bait and an ambush to incite Lily to dodge it, and once she dodges it, it would be the perfect opportunity for Yuli to attack. So they had a good strategy, but Lilith ruined their plan with her physical abilities. However, Lilith says that if Yuli had not failed at the time of loading, probably Lilith would have something bad happen to her, and as Lilith says that Thor is the main dish, says that she will leave it for the end, so she goes to look for the others first. After failing her first attack, Tomo says that it will be brief about what to do next, since right now Lilith is fighting in the air square that is later. So he asks if they chase her or wait for her to have an ambush that ends with her the main path, while Tomo and the others will advance taking a detour, and the objective of this is to attack Lilith in the square. So they were advancing, but in that Lilith ended up with this guy, since she was camouflaged, and Thor, when he saw Lilith, went out to fight against her. But Lilith tells him to wait a bit, and that he is the main dish. So Lilith dodges the protag and says that he will take care of the rest. However, Julie jumped to attack Lilith, but Julie's movements were very evident for Lilith, so she sends her flying, slamming her against the glass. And when she was going to give her the final blow, Tomo Salvaja appeared to protect her, so Julie was able to escape for a while. Because of this, Tomo took a scratch, but Julie had also taken one on her shoulder. And she was apologizing, saying it was her fault, but Tomo says it's normal to protect a partner, and also tells Julie that today she looks nervous, so she asks if something happens, but Julie says it's nothing. However, later she will talk to Thor, since something really did happen, and it turns out that Julie was nervous about the duo, since despite knowing that the protagonist rejected his invitation, she is afraid that in this survival Thor and Lilith end up understanding each other. But Thor tells Julie that he wants to protect her, and that he feels he has worried her, but that she is his duo, and that he will always be. But at that moment that Lilith appeared. So here begins the last dance of the survival. Julie and Thor try to attack Lilith, but she dodges easily and manages to disarm Julie. So Lilith was about to hit him, but luckily Julie was able to dodge it. The one who couldn't dodge it was Tora, who was sent against the floor. Now it's Tor's turn to attack, since he says they're not finished yet, but Lilith attacks Tor. However, Tor tells his companions not to worry, and that instead of that, they go for the victory. So at that moment, Tor attacked the ground, causing Lilith to jump, and with her jump, at that moment, appeared Javi to attack, and Lilith thinks that this is a good attempt, but she could dodge it. But, at that moment, Thor and Yuli appeared, but Lilith attacked Thor. So now is Yuli's time to attack. But when she was about to attack, Lilith ends up reacting faster than her, so Lilith attacks her. However, the protagonist, seeing this, was not worried, since he tells her that he had also been ahead of this possibility, and tells her that she had already said that she had discovered the lie, and has seen what the reality is. So at that moment Julie attacks Lilith, and tells her that this is Hakemate. This really surprises Lilith, since it is assumed that she had crossed Julie. But Thor can remember the first time he saw the blaze of Lilith, so thanks to that they caught her, so to speak, so Thor tells her that it is crazy to go ahead. However, Lilith says that he has not yet surrendered, and that at that moment Thor receives a shot in the shoulder. But this time it is not a blaze, but a real bullet, and that this guy appeared, which tells Lilith that they bring an invitation from Kidman Smith, the steel engineer. But Lilith, when she hears this, says that she refuses, but here is the guy who shoots Lilith, and tells her that they told her to take Lilith with them, if it were with a little pain. But seeing that they were doing this to Lilith, Thor and Julie went to the attack, but they were easily blocked, and to make things worse, this guy caught Miyabi with Morin and tells them to keep silent if they do not want him to squeeze the trigger unintentionally. However, Lilith says that it is enough and that she accepts the invitation, but let the girl go. So once she accepted, this guy ends up taking Lilith. However, Thor does not intend to allow this, so he says that they are going to rescue Lilith. Meanwhile, Lilith was following the path without problem, but in that Keter appeared before them and told them to take Lilith. But as the blonde says that they do not have time to lose with this nonsense, he orders them to attack Thor. But here Thor hit the ground, but seeing this the blonde thought that Thor did this for despair. However, Thor tells him that they do not know where he is, since at that moment the ground broke. So Thor could hold Lilith, and Yuli and Tora left to finish off these two soldiers. So now only the blonde was missing, which was about to attack Thor. But here Lilith combining an attack with Thor, they managed to give the blonde. And after that Lilith suggested to Thor that they clash with all their forces, so that they can understand each other. And at the end of the day, Thor ended up in the hospital. However, Lilith went to visit him, and when Thor saw her he asked her what is she coming for, but she replies that it is normal to visit a wounded comrade, and also Lilith was also to thank him for having rescued her. And here Lilith tells him that she is going to tell him something important. So in that she kisses the Proto on the cheek, and tells him that she has decided that he will be her future husband. Tori and the others are taken on a boat, since they are taking them to a residence, in that the sensei gives them an announcement, since he tells them that the residence is on that island there, and tells them that they will have to go swimming, and as part of the training they have to swim with their uniforms on. So it is said that the final objective of the day is the building of the residence in the center of the island. The sensei also remembers that they recently held the sublimation ceremony at the end of the semester. So it is said that there are those who manage to level up by the hairs, and that the useless bugs that did not level up, that try not to bother their duos. Yuriko really feels bad for Miyabi, since she lives with the thought that she only hinders her duo, and as Sensei tells them to leave at once, she ends up throwing them all into the water. Yuriko is very close to Thor, since we remember that she does not know how to swim, and at that moment they hear a helicopter, since it turns out that Lilith appeared. That of course go with the uniform is too hard for his part. Julie apologized, since Thor had to take her to the island, but he tells her that nothing happens for his part. Tomo and Miyabi follow their journey, but as they were going very slow Miyabi was apologizing, but Tomo tells her not to apologize, and that she is his duo, so he tells her that if she refuses herself it's like she will refuse her own duo time later, and it has darkened a lot, so Thor tells the girls that you have to hurry, but at that moment they are attacked by some kunais, since wild ninjas appear to attack them. But they are not the only ones with this problem, since Tomo and Miyabi were also attacked by ninjas, and they are in trouble, since Miyabi was locked up and Tomo was surrounded by ninjas. So little by little Tomo was being weakened, but Kamiyabi remembered Thor, so she got motivated, so she summoned her blaze and went out to attack with everything to rescue Tomo. Meanwhile, Thor and the girls were also fighting, and Thor wondered who these people were, if even Lilith and Julie were making a team, and as Lilith would like to have more space Julie tells him to jump for a moment, so when Lilith jumps, Julie cuts the trees that are around. So thanks to this Lilith already has more range to attack. On her side Thor also managed to defeat his enemy. And here he is going to take a big surprise, since it turns out that the ninja with whom he was fighting is none other than the girl who met his first day of school, Imari, which the truth I thought she was not going to see again, because it is supposed that she was expelled, but I'm going to tell you what happened to her. Once Tori and the others arrived, they are welcomed to the branch of the Academy Koryo, and tells them that it may have surprised them a battle simulacrum as hard as reception, but this is also part of the coastal school of the Academy Koryo. Once they were welcomed and Mari tells him from her perspective what happened once he was defeated the first day, since that day the most promising students who were defeated in the initiation ceremony were offered to enter this branch, so Imari tells him that the environment and the training have been very hard, but that it is improving day by day. After discovering this, the protagonist went to talk to the principal and tells him that he was wrong with her when he said that it was very cold, but as in the end he did not expel Imari and the others, Thor tells her that he feels somewhat happy about it. But the director tells him that it seems that he has misunderstood it, since he tells her that deep down, here they just seek to bring together people with talent that the Dawn Agency needs, and that they do not have to thank her, since the director only wants one thing, and that is that their path culminates in the absolute duo. Meanwhile, Miyabi was being praised by girls from high school, since they told her that it is noticeable that she comes from the main school. But as Miyabi was sorry, she says that she is going to get food, and right here she meets Thor, who tells her that he found out that she made a lot of effort to rescue Tomo. But Miyabi tells him that she just let him take her, and here she will discover something important, since she discovers that the truth is that Thor likes him. On the other hand, coming back with this blonde, he's talking to this old man, who tells him that he needs him for this mission, and tells him that he doesn't need to inform the ones above, since he says that after all, they would like to know the power of this, and that they will say that it is a test and they will only inform them of the results, and to this they will call it Contest Exposition Selection Seminary. It is as they spent several days on the island, fulfilling activities that they put, until the sensei informs them that they have finished the duties of this concentration, and that tomorrow, which is the last day, they will have the day off. Miyabi goes to talk to Thor, and he tells her that she has done a good job, and that she has worked very hard in this concentration, but she tells him that she is sure that it has been thanks to him. Here she also asks him if he already knows what is going to be tomorrow, and as Thor has not thought anything special, Miyabi suggests that he go with them, with Tomo and Mari, with her, to what the prod accepts, but he wonders where they can go, since he says that on this island there is no place to go. But Miyabi says that she is at the beach, so the beach day comes in which they had a good time. But Kaimari realized Miyabi's feelings, since Miyabi is always looking at Thor. Kaimari confesses to Miyabi that at first when she met Thor, she was fascinated by him and she thought that I wish she knew him better, but right now she treats him like a friend, and that's why Kaimari wants Miyabi to make an effort, but Miyabi wondered how she could try, and in that she twists her ankle. So Himari sees this opportunity and will take advantage. So she tells Thor that it is better to load Miyabi, and once Thor loaded Miyabi, Himari took care of getting the other girls so they could be alone. That's how Thor was loading Miyabi, and talking they remember that this has already been experienced before, which was when Miyabi suddenly fainted. Miyabi thanks the protagonist for everything he has done for her and tells her that if it hadn't been for him, she wouldn't be here now, so here Miyabi tells her what Thor feels. Meanwhile, Lilith, talking to the director, tells her that as the core of the 7 people of absolute duo reign is one of them, but Lilith says that for Diabolical Blaze, this will be like preaching to a converse, but the director tells her not to use that name so lightly. However, Lilith tells him that Rain attacked her, and tells the director that he is being indifferent to her, and the director tells him that that old man was also worried about that, since Lilith knows that he has been prepared for this night, because if it were not, it would not make sense to have come here. Because I did not tell you. But they came here to serve as bait like the students of this high school, who have been prepared as sacrifices, and here the principal tells Lilith that Thor asked her for forgiveness without having any idea of this fact. Talking to Thor, Mjolnir had told her that he likes her and asked her to go out with her, but hearing this Thor thinks that her hands are stained, so he ends up rejecting her since he tells her that she is weak. So when he hears this, Miyabi runs away sad, since the thing is going to rot, since at that moment the protagonist hears an explosion, since it turns out that some soldiers began to invade the island and began to attack the students, and these soldiers are led by the blonde. And the blonde says that they are going to start with a selection to put to the test and be tested. The army attacked the students non-stop, so Julius, Tomo were fighting, and who is making the attack is the squadron of Keithman Smith. And seeing the Lilith knows that this unit is different from the previous one. And the principal tells him that it's called Revere, the annihilating squad of gods. And the principal also says that this old man said that this would be his selection. And the main school was also being attacked by another squadron, so the director suggests that maybe her goal must be the underground laboratory, but the director says she knew this would happen, so she's going to send Rito to battle. So she gives him a syringe, so she tells him to try to show his true power, as much as he wants with total freedom. So when she hears this, the sensei bunny, after injecting a substance, she's going to get very pissed. So she went out to fight in devil mode. And here her students will give them a special lesson, which is how to use the blaze lesson 3, since when an EXEX exceeds level 4, it can release the hidden power of the blaze. So Kala-sensei uses her hidden power, which is OP, so thanks to this she ends up charging the soldiers easily, and after witnessing this Thor realizes that the other time the sensei and he kept fighting. Meanwhile in the main school, a single man finished with the whole squad, so everything was under control of the director Sakuya, or not at all, since at that moment that the wild blonde appears, which says that he has come to pick up the diabolical blaze, referring to the director. Lilith obviously tried to stop him, so he finished with the two companions of the blonde, but when the blonde attacks, he causes a great explosion and ends up taking the principal. As Thor and Julie saw the explosion, they went to the place to see what was happening, and here they found Lilith, who was very hurt, but Lilith tells him not to worry about her, but about that girl, referring to the principal. So Lilith asks the Proto to go and save the principal. So the Proto went to do it. So he jumped into the boat in which they were taking the principal. So the blonde man tells them that he is going to give them a chance. So he gives them 5 seconds to jump into the sea, since he tells them that if they do that, he will let them escape. But Thor obviously refuses. So here the fight is going to start. However, at the beginning they are not rivals for the blonde, since he stops Thor easily and also dodges the attacks of both very easily. And although in one of those the Protoss could hit him, this did nothing to him, since the blonde accepts that that attack would have defeated his teammates, but that does not affect him, since the blonde has a new armor, which is the new unit created by Kidman and Smith, and the blonde says that like the Ext, who surpassed humans with the power of Lucifer, it could be said that they surpass him with the unit. Thor began to attack the crazy, while Thor attacked Julie also tried to attack, but this was not working, and in one of those, the blonde left Thor on the floor, and Julie also gives a good blow. Even the blonde already wanted to give the final blow to Julie, but at that moment Thor appeared to protect her, so the blonde surprises him that the Proto can move with his leg like that. But Thor says that it is because he is determined to protect Julie. However, when he hears this, the blonde is reflected in the Proto when he was younger, so angry he asks him what can protect him, and that he begins to attack him. So the blonde was massacring the protagonist. However, hearing how Thor suffered, Julie remembered the death of her father. So Julie got so angry that she took out the Forbidden Ones. So she, like a devil, began to massacre the blonde. And she was so fast that the blonde couldn't even see where the attacks were coming from. So if she followed that rhythm, she could have finished him easily. However, Thor stopped her. At that moment, the blonde receives a message, but he tells the old man to wait a moment, and that soon the devilish blaze will be in his hands. But the old man tells him that this will not happen, and that it has already been done with the active, so he orders the blonde to withdraw immediately. However, before leaving, he asks the protagonist what his name is, and tells him that the next time they see each other, he will undoubtedly kill him. So the blonde tells him that this message is said by K, commander of Revere. So after saying that K disappears in the end, the director could return with Lilith, so she realizes that Thor and Julie kept their promise, but when the director returned, she tells Lilith that she realized that she was not her goal. Meanwhile, Julie tells Thor that his father was a hero of his people, but one day he went to fight, he was defeated by a man, and that same man who killed his father was the one who hurt him in the back. It was then that Julie decided that she wanted to be able to finish off the man who killed her father and be able to carry out his revenge. That is why she came to the Koryo Academy, and that he will give her a chance for it. So here Miyabi is shown a suit like the one he was wearing here. After Miyabi's disappearance, Tori and the others were worried if Tomo even wanted to stay on the island, but the sensei told him that even if he stayed, he could not do anything. So they had no choice but to return. That's why when the protagonist was training with Tomo, he was distracted, since he couldn't stop thinking about what had happened with Miyabi, and for his part Tomo was very sad, since it was obviously his duo. So Lily listened to Tomo crying, and everything Thor for his part is also bad, since he started having nightmares with Miyabi, with Ka, and by the way he had memories of Vietnam. So Thor was awakened scared. In one of those, the director sent to call Thor, since he tells him that he has thought of how to pay him for having rescued her from reverse. So the director tells him that he grants him the right to sublimate to level 4. But the Prota said that it was not only him, but also Yuli, Lilith, and that they all did something. So he wonders then why only him, to which the principal answers that it does not matter and that it is unique. However, the protagonist was doubting, so the principal asked him why he doubts, since he asks him if it is not power that he seeks, and that if he had not come to this academy for that, and that if he had not thought that if he had had power, he would have prevented that tragedy. Everyone listening to this knows that it is possible that he would have thought that if he had had power, he would have avoided the tragedy, but he also remembers how he lost control of Yuli for the power. However, the director tells him to leave in his hands the decision of what to do with this. The director also says that soon the rain conference will be held at the academy, and that then he will visit them, Equipment Smith, the man who created Reverse. The next day, the school was surrounded by guards, and they even put level 3 students in surveillance work, and there is a lot of tension in the environment. So Lilith thinks that as it is noticeable that it is about Reinhardt, as Thor did not know what the hell was going on. It was with Lilith, so he asks about Kidman Smith and the Reinhardt conference, since the protagonist wants to know what the hell is going on. Lilith tells him that Kidman Smith is a very important person of a hidden military organization in the shadows of a certain country, and that he was the one who created Revere, the Annihilator squad of gods. And Thor wondered why the hell he created this. And this is very simple, since the final objective is the Absolute Duo, and those who form the core of the Absolute Duo are Rain, which right now their members are gathered in a room in which the director is also located, and that at that moment, finally, the old man arrived. However, the protagonist wonders what the Absolute Duo is, to which Lilith tells him that it is said that it is the final field that is at the depth of the power of the soul, that is, what is behind the depth of the blaze, and that is why they have gathered here, since he tells him that the Koryo Academy was founded with a single objective, which is to create a headset, someone superior who awakens a hidden power in his soul like the useful, and all this so that he can reach the Absolute Duo. The old man went to propose to the director an alliance, since he says that if they joined the power of their unity and their X's, he says that they could overcome everything. But the director refuses, since he says that what she seeks and what Smith seeks are different paths that would never cross, and that therefore their ends are totally different. So the director says that so the joining forces would be the height of stupidity, and as the director is part of the power of the soul, he tells the old man that he would never understand him, and that after all, a long time ago the old man was defeated by the director's grandfather and he left the agency. This is obviously a great insult to Smith. So he says that he will not retire in silence after having been insulted in this way. So he proposes to the director to solve this with a game, since he tells him to let Reverse attack this academy and his exes will have to defend it, and this will be called Killing Game. So the one who eliminates the other will have won. At that moment the students receive the information that in 10 minutes Reverse will attack them, and so it was. Since at that moment Kaka appeared with his army. So Kaka and his army were face to face against Thor and the others, and at that moment that also appeared Miyabi, which was totally changed, and she shows her new armor, telling Thor that she has become stronger as soon as Miyabi appeared. She says that this is her new self, and at that moment Miyabi was attacked, but she is now very strong. She easily finished the students and asks Thor if he has seen that, since he tells him that he has become strong. So Thor wondered what happened to Jave, but Kale responds that they only gave him the power to kill a god. Jave throws himself to attack Thor without thinking, but Julie reacted in time, so he was able to save Thor, and as his companions have no choice, they all take out their blaze to fight. Kao also says that Jave is now a fusion of Exet with Unith, and that they have completed thanks to their collaboration. So Kay says that if it was useful to go to that island, however this made Tomo angry, so he asks him to stay away from Miyabi, and when Tomo approaches Miyabi he tells him that he is surely being threatened or something like that. And Tomo tells Miyabi that he is going to protect her if she is so weak, and when Tomo realized he had a wound since Miyabi's blaze can hurt people, and remember that only this is possible if the user attacks with the intention of killing. However, Tomo does not believe it and says that she is surely hypnotized or something similar to that. Tomo cannot believe what is happening, but Lilith tells him that surely Miyabi is hypnotized or something similar to that. After Miyabi's change, the director realized that apparently, the old man often watched the students of this academy, to which the old man says that a very weak mental force contrasting his body strength, and adds the desire to have more power. So he says that this woman was the most suitable, and that they only motivated her a little and she got a magnificent power, and she became an ideal soldier, the one who fights and dies. So the old man asks the director if he will not change his mind about the alliance, to which the director says that yes, it is already decided and that first he must get rid of the spy. So he tells her that it is detestable that an old man like him is watching the academy. Miyabi confesses that the old man gave the power to someone as weak as her to make her OP, but Tomo doesn't believe this. However, Kei says that she was the one who asked for the power, but Tomo tells her not to say nonsense and that she wouldn't want a power like that, to which Miyabi replies that what does Tomo know about her? Kei also confesses that they were being watched all the time and tells Thor that it was fun to see how she rejected Miyabi and that a scene from a teen movie even appeared, but this made Thor angry. So he took out his blaze and was going to attack directly here, but at that moment Miyabi got in the middle and asks Thor why he always has to see someone else, so she attacks Thor since she wants to show him her power, and Jave has so much power that she sends Yuli, Tora and Lily to fly at the same time, but Jave does not care about anyone more than Thor, since he keeps telling her that he has become very strong, and also reminds her that Thor had told her that he was weak. So Jave tells her that that is why she will become strong for him, and that she will destroy everything that hurts her or causes her suffering, and that she will protect him. Since he asks if he will stay with her forever, and that in that Miyabi begins to attack the crazy. However, Kei says that the time to play is over, and that they are in the middle of a game, but Kei says that he must go to greet the Diabolic Blaze as the representative of the game, so Kei retired. But Thor did not want to let him go, however Miyabi blocks him, since she wants him to continue seeing more and more his power. However, Tomo says that she will take care of Miyabi, so she asks the others to leave them alone, and as Tomo wanted they left her alone. So Tomo tells Miyabi that he will stop her. Meanwhile, Lily and Tora were opening the way to the Prota, so that he can reach Kei. Tor and Julie could get here together, which tells them that he was waiting for them and tells them that his objective was not the director, but if I mentioned it, I knew that Thor would follow him, since the only objective of Ka is to finish what happened the other day, since he wants to see Thor's face when he snatches what he has most precious, so that fight begins. Meanwhile, Tomo is detaining Miyabi, and says that the devil with the duo, and that she did not make an effort for something like that, and that she just wanted the person she likes to see her. However, Tomo will not let Miyabi go, and that he continues to repeat that this power is not adequate and tells her that Tor would surely say the same. And although at first he was resisting, Tomo was able to make Miyabi come to his senses, so she was injured, and Ka was enjoying the face that Thor put on seeing this, but he tells him that there is still more to do. At that moment, for soldiers appeared, which began to shoot. However, Thor stood in front of Julie, protecting her at all costs. When Julie regained consciousness, Thor asked her if she was okay, to which Julie says yes, that it was just a scratch. But here Julie realizes that Thor is bleeding. However, as Thor is bad, Julie asked him to run away and not to worry about him. But Thor says he will protect Julie from all evil, so at that moment the Protoss uses the tool fly that the director had given him, and thanks to this he was able to dodge all the attacks that the soldiers threw at him, and at that moment Thor and Lilith finished off the remaining soldiers, so it's time for the final battle between Thor and Jay. So Thor ends up giving Jay the last blow, pointing this as his victory, and it is also the victory of the director, since in the end the old man does not have any units left to fight. So the director says that this meeting ends, and for his part Kei was beating the old man for having lost. But he goes crazy and starts laughing like a sick person, to then eliminate the old man, and after eliminating the old man Kei breaks an object that the old man had, thus achieving the maximum unit destruction. So Kei thinks that with this he can take revenge on Thor. Thor and the others were already withdrawing the lever, and that they think that in the end they managed to win. But at that moment Kei appears and says that nothing has finished yet, but seeing Kei, Thor attacks him quickly. However, he is stopped easily and Kei breaks his blaze, so he sends Thor to sleep. The next one to attack was Lilith, but Ka dodged easily and left her unconscious too. So Ka says that in the level she is in, Not even Lilith, who is an exception, is a level. So Ka begins to cause damage. Toru and Yuli try to run away from him, but Ka attacks insistently. However, the prototype tries to protect Yuli as best he can, and since they have no choice, they are going to fight as a duo. However, K was being superior in combat, and in that K decides that he is going to destroy the whole academy. So he begins to destroy everything he sees around him and launches a very powerful attack on the academy. But the sensei with his power could deflect it. Although after deflecting that attack, it was exhausted. So the sensei leaves everything in Thor's hands. K tells Yuli and Thor that it is useless. But in that they cause a smoke bomb. However, K says that this will not serve any purpose, but Yuli says that they got a blind spot, so she manages to attack K. And although Yuli takes a wound, breaks the weapon that K had and causes an explosion, however, this was not enough to defeat him, so K decided to attack Yuli. But Thor as always protects her, but he did not expect that at that moment K would go through with his sword. Yuli, seeing in the state in which K left Thor, she says very angry that she will never forgive him. So Yuli is about to take out the Forbidden again, so in that she begins to attack K. But as Yuli was being superior, K started flying trying to escape, and did not want to accept that Yuli's power was stronger than his. But at that moment Yuli explained a couple of things to him, so she did a great wound here, so he was on the ground and could barely move, and when Yuli was about to give him the final blow, Thor appeared telling him not to do it. But as Yuli was in devil mode, she tried to attack the Prota, since she was out of control, and despite all the attacks that Yuli threw at him, the Prota was able to resist them, and it came to a point where to stop Yuli, he went to hug her directly no matter what was happening. So Thor managed to calm her down and reminds her that he told her that he would always protect her. When he saw this, he got his own memories of Vietnam, and he says that wanting is not power, so he wanted to launch his last attack, but Yuli and Thor could resist this attack. So they ended up deflecting their own attacks, so Thor, with Yuli's sword, ended up giving Ka the final blow. And now they did win the battle. In the end, the protagonist ended up in the hospital, and Miyabi apologizes for causing them so many problems. But Thor says that nothing happens and tells Miyabi, Tomo, Thora, and the duo of Thora that he hopes they will continue together from now on. Once they gave Thor a high to celebrate, Lilith gives him something, since she gives him the documentation about Kevin, the boy who was called Ka, and tells him that he had a brother with whom he was very close, but Ka lost him suddenly. That's why his family broke up and Ka fell into a dark world and bought at the organization of that old man. Since in summary he lost his family, they stole his name. He was trained as a soldier looking for only power and results, and that's all Ka. Thor asks Lilith why she gives this to him, to which she answers, because I think that he could be interested. And one more thing that Lilith tells Thor is that they hated that today they gave hi to Julie, so Thor was running to look for her. But when Thor left, Lilith thanks the director, since she says that she was generous with Thor, to the point of giving him information about Ka. But the director says that she seeks that Thor's soul grow even more, although for this she has to provide him with what her opponent thought, since for the director everything is for the path to end up sublimating in the absolute duo. Returning with Thor, he could meet with Julie in the clock tower, which was the place where the protagonist asked Julie to be a duo for the first time. Here Julie confesses to Thor that she is not an EXE, and that the day they killed her father, she desired and asked for power and got some fangs to take revenge. Since Julie says that he is an Eloi, someone who has awakened the power that is hidden inside people. Since he tells him that in the bottom of the soul of the people there is a power, and there are beings that awaken that power and turn their soul into weapons. So the Proto, when he hears this, tells him that it is like an exet, to which Julie tells him that they told him that the exet are the Away whose power has been awakened artificially, and also tells her that she could not control her power, and that it was the Down Agency who rescued her. So basically she lied to the Prota because she was afraid. Because he thought that when the Protoss finds out that she is not an exet and that she is not like him, Yuli thought that automatically Thor would separate from her. But despite all things, Yuli tells him that she wants to be with him and that she wants to be his duo. Thor also tells Yuli that he also has to apologize, since he confesses that the first time he saw his authentic power, he promised himself that he would never make Yuli use it again. Since the Protoss told himself that he wanted Yuli to never get hurt again, but nevertheless he made her use it again, and she ended up hurt, but the Protoss promises her that she will be strong enough to be able to really defend her, so Thor asks Yuli to keep doing her duo, so with Thor and Yuli making the Oath of Blaze again, saying that those who join this bond will always be together at all times as long as possible, moment while possible, in happy moments or in the sad, in health and until death separates them. All this ends, and so ends the first season of this anime. If you got to this part of the video, comment below in the comments, purple elephants, so you know you got to this part. Without more to say, see you next time.